Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much to talk to me about Mank, which is a wonderful film. So, my first question, as somebody who's been obsessed and passionate about Mr. Fincher, even when he was doing videos before he actually directed features, like put me there on the set. How is he as a collaborator and guiding you through the wonderful performance you give in this movie?
He is the ultimate collaborator. It's like a meeting of the minds when you're working with him. He's completely respectful of what you bring to the table, and he articulates what he wants without ever seeming condescending. He's a leader without, making it seem like you're less than. It's a true collaboration. And he also, everybody else kind of, everybody gets in line, you know. 'Cause it's nice to be respected, it's nice to be understood, and it's nice to be guided.
So let me ask you this, because one of the I got a particular kick of the scene where we first see your character on top of that stake while she's shooting a movie, and I sort of like the energy of, there's a bit of a cynical vibe from the crew while she's up there like screaming her head off, like, well, when is lunch, or what's its craft service. But I don't imagine that happening on a Fincher set, right? Like you sort of feel the magic coming from all the departments.
Oh, everybody's so thrilled to be there. Everybody knows that it's special, especially this movie. I've never, like, this is my first Fincher movie, hopefully not my last. God willing. But it the one of the most beautiful things about this experience for me was that every single department knew how special it was and knew how well they had it,
Mm.
and wanted to do the best job they could possibly do, and everybody excelled.
Yeah,
It
it
feels like
shows. It
you
shows.
had to
It shows
beg
on screen.
anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: given that Marin was a real person and that she was on screen, how much of a deep dive in your research did you do in terms of getting to her, or how much did you just stick to the script of how she was written for this particular piece?
If I didn't have any information anywhere and I couldn't get a hold of anything, the script would have been enough. That's how good the script is. And and luckily I did have information. I had her movies. I used her movies for mannerisms. I wasn't obviously going to portray her as she portrayed characters in her movies. It's about the backstage Marion, but I also had her autobiography, which is kind of like a Bible to me, which was
Mm.
it's based on interviews she did about a decade before she passed away, and it was just mainly her just going down memory lane. But all these things that I was reading about in her autobiography were matching with the things that were she was doing in the movie, and it was
In
just,
the movie.
I just got so much information, and it was never too much, but I didn't need it at the end of the day. And I'm going on set and I have these costumes and just thrust into this world just because of what I was wearing and how I looked. So I was never without on this movie.
So my last question would be, were you taken with the dynamic of her relationship with Mank? Because it was such a refreshing, like that's the meeting of the mind and mutual respect. So I love that about sort of their dynamic.
It's so romantic without being. It's like platonic, but it's uh, it's what I covet in my life. That relationship between two people that really just trust each other and get each other without trying. They're both severely honest and really, really need need respect and need someone to listen to them. And I think it's just effortless between them. It's the first second they meet, it's just, you're like, oh, these people, they belong together in some capacity. Um and I think that they always felt that way, whether they were friends or not. They just were cut from the same cloth, and I love portraying that. Also, Gary and I work very similarly and have an affinity for each other. We've worked together in the past, and there's a rapport there that I think part of that was part of what you saw on screen was slightly also the relationship that Amanda and Gary have. There's a spark there that you saw, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it truly is. So my time is up. The movie's wonderful. Thank you so much for to
Thank you.
talking to me about it,
Awesome.
and stay healthy wherever you are.